impromptu, urgent, emergency episode of the Undercut podcast with my friend and yours, one of the go-toest F1 minds to have ever go-to, the one that they call Justin P, OG of the game. How are you doing? So it doesn't matter how you're doing, because we need to talk about this George Russell stuff, mate. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Got notes in front of me. He said so much stuff. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this was Nas and Jay-Z ether settings back in the day. Justin, what do you make of these comments first and foremost as a precursory comment that George Russell has uttered today? What do you make of it, chap?
Woo. Nas, Jay-Z, it's more Drake, Kendrick. I think it's one person. Okay, what do I make of it? Has he said anything that you haven't thought before? That is what, after all of the so-called inflammatory stuff, has he said anything about Max that you can't imagine him doing or saying? And has he said anything that you haven't thought about Max in the past up until now? And that's now the way the lens through I'm analyzing all of this stuff. That's the 10,000 foot view. If you want to get into the details, get down and dirty, this is hilarious. This is tea. This is popcorn. This is everything we want from our F1 sport. This is crazy because the entertainment is coming off the track instead of on it, even though FIA are trying their hardest to provide some type of entertainment, as they did in Qatar in their twisted, loving ways. What do I make of it? Someone is talking, and it's about time, really and truly. Someone's talking back, and let's not forget, throughout all of this, as we're about to get into this, we don't want to lose track. He wasn't the first to pop off at the mouth in public.
Go on. Why
the first person to popped off was Max. So we're about to go in on George's comments, but the first person that popped off is Max. So we should really go off and do the analysis on Max's comments first, then go into George, because George is responding to something. Right, George is responding to a position he was put in by Max. There's stuff happened behind closed doors. Max came running out them closed doors and banged off his gums. Sorry, I had to get brummy on you, but banged off his gums and told the whole world and then called man's integrity into question. Okay, cool. If that's the case, then we're going to do this. That's why I say it's more Drake, Kendrick, because obviously stuff has been building up and no one's been paying much attention to it. And then someone said, you know what? Yeah, it's time, because you've done this to XY, you've done this to that person, done this. I'm not the one. I did not have money on George being.
I don't even know what to make of it.
Go on,
no, I did have money on George Russell being the guy to throw. We've spoken about this before, I feel, Jay. I'm getting a conversational deja vu right now. I feel like I've said for a while that if any... look, I don't know whether George has the minerals as far as being an F1 peddler. I don't know if he has the particular brand of wheel-to-wheel combat requisite to challenge Max Verstappen over a 24 race season. That's a different entity.
Yeah, we did talk about.
But as far as having that chutzpah, the ability to stand up and do "I am Spartacus," do you know what I mean? Because he said in there, he said a couple of different things, but he said basically, "I'm not having it." It's been a long while now that Max Verstappen, that everybody's been, all the other 18 have been meek and mild, ducking their head, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. That Max has been bullying the other 18, and nobody not named Sir Lewis has stood up to him. And going forward, I'm going to be that guy. Some of those comments, the tone, Justin, but this feels like much needed. I feel like F1 for the longest time has had its head in the water, and this feels like much needed injection of oxygen, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Let's go down deeper into that. So what do you mean by F1 in general has had its head in the water? For as in not identifying how Max carries himself?
No. I'm not caught. Look, let me say for the avoidance of doubt, preface everything I'm about to say with this. I like that Max's chariot of fire. Does Max overstep the line from time to time? Has he done if past his prologue? Per George Russell's examples, Jeddah 21, Brazil 21, Hungary. Max has that in him. When you read the Unstoppable book by Mark Hughes, you see that he's only come to take names. Just he doesn't care for the rest of it. That's all fade to black. That's roundings. He wants to win by dint of the fact that in his own mind, at the very least, if not in reality, he's the best driver to have ever lived. And Justin, I can't at this point now because he walks the walk potentially more than he talks the talk. You know, I'm a moth to a flame as far as that sort of stuff, Justin. I love that stuff each and every single time. But as far as what George is saying, The tone is mad, Justin. I can't even compete. No,
why is the tone mad? Let's go into that. Why is it because he's done it? Or is it the way he's done it? Because again, I'm going to pull you back. He's responding to a position Max put him in.
But is he though really? Go on and explain this to me, Justin.
I'm losing composure.
No. Let's go because we're going to.
Let's go through this.
Right?
We had the stewards raise. We had the stewards meeting. Yeah, after quali. They're in there. The way George recants that story, he gets there second. Meanwhile, Max is banging off his gums to the stewards, effing and blinding to the actual officials. Let's not get this one twisted. You and I both work in professional corporate spaces. They are professionals. They've been paid to do a job, etc., etc. You don't go in effing and blinding because you disagree. Come on now. Even if you're heated, maybe walk around the block a little. Do what Danny Rick did that time when he blew out his vocal cords and screamed into his helmet. But you don't go and F and blind at professionals, even if you don't agree with them.
No, just
hold on, let me finish.
Let me correct you. Allow me to interject, sir.
Go on then. Go on.
On the Cameron CC channel, if you may. Sorry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look. Go on.
If your name is Justin P or Cameron CC, then you don't F and blind at work because there are ramifications and you will lose your job and get yourself a P45. But if your name is Maximilian Verstappen, for some say soon to be 5-time champion, you can say that you don't like it, you love or loathe him, you don't like the personality nor the cut of his jib, but he can do it. Justin, this is the greatest truism of Max Verstappen's career. He was doing it when he first
came into
Red Bull.
One rule for him and one rule for everyone else.
Well, to a certain extent.
So that's what George is saying, right? Then, so now let's come back to my point. So he does this behind closed doors. Cool. George comes out, closed doors, whatever. And then Max finds the nearest microphone. He finds the nearest microphone. Starts talking two-faced, lack of integrity. This guy, what? I beg your pardon, sir. Excuse me. I'm sorry. You what? Because you got a one-place grid penalty on a race where you've already won the world championship. What are we talking? What? I don't understand. You could say you don't like the guy. Say I don't trust him. Do a Lewis when Massa touched him that one time in Monaco where he was vexed. Don't touch me. Like, do something. This is even beyond suck my balls, Ericsson.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
Well, I do.
How are you? Because that's just schoolyard insults. This man said, I do not trust the content of his character. He has no integrity and has more than one face. Okay, bro. So now.
But you don't think George has more than one face, bro?
Like, all of them do. All of them do.
And by the way,
no
Dominic,
one, all of them do.
Just
Come
get
on.
this in quickly, Jay, because this is going to get techie now. Dominic, you're a legend. Thank you so much. Too generous. Dominic says F1 will be a snooze fest, but for Maximilian Verstappen, and I concur, Sir Hamilton settings, but
personalities in the past. But yeah, he does make it more interesting. Yes, but we've also had personalities. It's not like we haven't had personalities in F1.
Yeah, so I think that he's talking about now, bro. This is what I'm saying, Justin. take Max Verstappen out of it, and it's bloody like. It's UNICEF and it's F1 snowflakery. Do you know what I mean? You can criticize. No, I mean it's overly sanitized. You remember, Justin, you were watching F1 back in the day, yeah, when it was Schumacher trying to crash Rubens Barrichello, his old mate, with whom he'd made himself a career, 7-time champion, trying to crash that fella into the wall without compunction. So F1, nobody's not going to tell me this, Justin, that F1, that all of a sudden, because it's Drive to Survivation and it's new brand and it's TikTok. Look, F1's not going to, a leopard doesn't change its spots for Pete's sake. And I wouldn't expect nor one F1 to. This has always been the way. Max Verstappen is just the latest and greatest incarnation.
All right, then. So then we go back to my point. So George is now responding. He's calling him on it. If you're going to run up to the mic and start reeling off a bunch of things, then I'm going to start talking your name too. Yeah. So to me, George is well within his rights to, and it's given us all the tea we want, and everyone, regardless of your point of view on this, regardless of whether you think Max is the greatest thing since sliced bread or can't stand him, everyone loves this. That's what this has united the F1 community, from what I can see. Anecdotally online, everyone's like, "Bring the tea, man! Please give a 1-2 quali. Can we have them on 1 and 2?"
Nobody's from train. People are going to be tuned in now, Justin. This is exactly what I'm saying, because this.
Facts.
Ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, is F1 Charles Edward passing through again. Absolute legend of the channel. Grateful ad infinitum, sir. You're a legend. Apex says, so if somebody's entertaining, should they be allowed to do things others aren't? Your logic,
No.
Cameron,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
very
yeah.
weak, sir.
Yeah. I want to get to that, bro.
Cheers,
That's
Apex.
the point.
Cheers.
Because here's the thing now, yeah. So one rule for him, one rule for everyone else. Let's get to the content of what George is talking about, and that's what he's calling out. So there's one thing that it's happened, the 10,000-foot view in corporate speak. Let's get into the details, what's being said. He's calling him out on all of it. It's like, I'm sick of it. As I said, it's like Drake and Kendrick. It's like Drake's been sneak dissing for 10 years, same thing with Kendrick. Kendrick's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to call you out for who you are and type of person and how you carry yourself. And none of it is news to anyone. Cameron,
go on.
Is any of what he said about Max news to anyone?
Oh, Justin, I don't. Oh. Is it any?
The thing is, what you're struggling with is whether you care, and that's not the question.
No, I do. I really do care, but care from a assessing.
As in, care about what he said. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't care about that because you're like, win at all costs. That's who I like. And some people like their champions in a different form. And you and I have discussed this online, offline, ad infinitum. So we're not going to rehash that argument. But now he's calling him out for the type of person he is and being like, well, are you going to stand next to this guy? And this guy needs to think, you can't bully me.
It's the double standard that he's calling out. But here's my double standard. If I'm going to point the lens back at George Russell, point him up to the accountability mirror. Justin, you can't talk that stuff if you can't beat Max Verstappen. That's where the disconnect comes for me. It's
but then a double standard.
This is where this is what it feels
taking
like
it off
to me.
The track, Cam.
No, Justin. But here's what it feels like to me. I'm not saying George Russell is wrong in anything that he's saying, but there is a time and a place, Justin. Just like Lando Norris, not to the same extent, but as. The problem for Lando, the reason why so many F1 community members have turned their back and averted their gaze away from Lando Norris and his multitudinous indiscretions is because of this chap. Don't talk simply lovely on Sanvor, 20 seconds, props, sir, round of applause, standing ovation. But what's next, Lando? Do you know what I mean? Are you gonna keep Max Verstappen, an honest F1 peddler, through to Abu Dhabi? No, you're not, because that was a flash in the pan type thing. So you, sir, if you're Michael Jordan era, then Justin, if you're old school, if you're a real one, a proper one, if your words mean anything, because word is bond, let's remember. If your words mean anything, then you got to stand on business, Lando. Don't talk the talk before you walk the walk. That's what Lando did then, and he did it sporadically throughout the season when he thought he was a big man and he can talk to Max
Cameron,
Verstappen.
make your point. Lando doesn't need to catch no strays in this.
George, no, he does to set the table, Justin. This is the point that we're talking about, right? He does, and so does George, because George can talk a big game. Anybody can. But what about walking the walk, chap? You're not there
I'm going to get
George.
personal with you, Cameron. How do you deal with bullies?
No,
again, you're forgetting the point. Max went and found the mic first,
No, I agree.
Not George King. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought I disabled that.
It happened. No. Go.
Yeah, Max went and found the mic. And we were all taught as kids, if a bully comes up to you, stand up to him. So George is doing exactly what he said, brought receipts. And then at the end of the clip, he said, I can't wait for us to go into the next season, hoping we all have semi-competitive cars, because certain man go and find out what it is. So yeah, he may have overreached a little bit there. But if you tell me you're going to put me in the wall and put me on my head where we're from, the city we're from, Cameron, you don't do that talk.
I can.
Are you mad?
There is an issue.
You're threatening violence. You can't do that in a professional workplace. What are we talking about?
No, there is an issue with Max's verbiage. I don't disagree.
But it's in line with how he is when he switches. Max has that switch. We all know Max has that switch. Certain people love him for it. Certain people don't like him for it. We've heard how he talks to his team. When the car's not right, everyone in that team's being told how shit a job they are doing, as opposed to when the car's not right, other people are like, you know what, we need to do better. He's like, no, this team shit, this car is shit, you lot are shit, everyone's shit. That's basically, okay, I'm paraphrasing and I'm exaggerating to make a point, but the point is, we just know how he talks. We've heard it enough over the radio over the years. So you can't say, I'm going to put you on your head and put you in a wall. Are you out of your mind?
No, I like
it. Not Cam.
I like
Cam.
Look. If you talk all these stuff, because go on, let's double click on the bloody incident in the first instance.
Please do, because you know what? I'm not letting him off.
No. But
Not letting the FIA
go on.
off.
Let's talk about the qualifying thing. We'll deep dive on the FIA shortly, right? But if you talk about the incident in particular, George Russell, that was okay. So some would say it's 200 level race IQ. Some would say that that's dude just being skullduggerous, playing to the referee. You know, like you see in football, the dude will dive on the ground and roll around on the floor and, oh my gosh, I've got an ACL injury. And then the second that the referee brandishes the card, they jump up and it's like, game on, ready to go again.
Remind me, King, who's the best at doing that now in the last couple of years? I can't think. Dutch guy.
Are you saying it's
Max? Red Bull.
Does Max play to the referee
Does Max
like that?
play to the ref? We just came off 3 weeks of articles of people telling us how genius he is for driving people off the track.
Guilty as charged. No, he's good at that. He does operate beautifully. No, he does. No, guilty as charged. He does operate.
Thank you, Cameron. I'm glad you were honest in your feeling of expression. So even if, let's look at it objectively. Yeah, as you said. So let's look at the incident in isolation. Boom. He turns up too slow. You're not supposed to be going that slow. That's in the rule book. They go to the stewards. The stewards have summoned Max before him, which is why I'm guessing George ended up late. Anyway, so details. He's obviously going to receive some type of penalty. He looks to George and expects George to back him. Who's Max back him? Max wouldn't back Checo. What do you mean?
True. No, Max absolutely. Well, he did back Checo. He did back Checo, but Eddie Jordan said today that the only reason why Max backed Checo because he didn't want sites in that team causing him.
Yeah, of course he doesn't want sites in that. Everyone knows that's common knowledge. So what are we talking about here? George is. Sorry, Cam. It's just this podcast can't be just me giggling, but the point is, yes, he's playing to the ref. If George is playing to the ref, so did Max. If George isn't playing to the ref, then FIA, what are they on? Now and you know what? Let's not leave. Let's park that for a second. So yeah, so there's that. Looking at the incident in isolation, George is doing what Max does, what every driver does. And as George even made that point in that rant, it's like, it's not personal. You're playing to the rules. That's kind of what all F1 drivers did. Someone did it in Qatar last week. When there was a yellow flag down the straight, can you think who? Dutch guy drives for Red Bull. I'm sorry, I could do this all day.
Consistency.
So now I'm going to let you talk.
It is techie. There is a consistency thing to be had there. But I just can't hate Matt because the problem is
no one's asking you to hate.
No.
No one's asking you to hate.
Yeah, people are asking me to hold him to account, right? And I will lean into that ever so slightly. But when all ultimately, Justin, is said and done, he's the dude in Brazil, that when it's raining and it's monsoon conditions, he's the one that's going to go P17 to P1 in 43 of 69
but
laps.
That's not the point we're arguing.
No, but it is the point. They're all in one chap.
Explain. Okay, I'll let you talk.
Okay, fine. Because King George, right, for all that he said, it's premature. I love it, Justin. I'm not even going to tell you lies. I live for these moments in F1. It's very Senna and Prost 89, this and 1990. This has got Schumacher and Alonso 0506 written all over it, and Vettel and Alonso 12. It is that. This is what the beginnings of it, and I'm here for it. And F1 will do well, brilliantly well, as far as viewing figures and Liberty Media's bottom line by dint of it. But I say again, not to kill the point, Justin, but it's really important. George can talk all this in this way, and he's getting his swagger on, and his chest is back, and his eyes are red, and I like that. It's brilliant TV. People be talking about this long into the race weekend, probably more so than the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, even I have, But Justin, the same consistency is the thing, right? Consistency is key. Per Lando Norris, there is a time to talk like this, chap. You can say, how about George just come out and say, you know what? Did George even need to say anything now? He kept fair play if he wanted to. And I like that he has. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's friction and rancor and stakes. Fast forward from now to February 2025 and testing. I'm here for it, Justin, because now we've got plenty of whys to watch. But let me pitch the question back at you this way, Justin, because this is an important one. Can George talk like that with chest 10 toes down, bearing in mind whenever he's come up against Max Verstappen on track, a fire-breathing, angry dragon, Maximilian Verstappen, 4-time champion now? How's that worked out for him, chap? How's that
Oh,
worked
he's
out?
come off works
But can you
on the track.
2023? I remember George Russell
Sorry, I
had.
got you though.
The one sec, Justin. Let me put a pin in this because this is important. I'll full stop it for you and hand to you. Can you be George Russell, who yeets it into the barrier in Singapore when he had a victory in his grasp, and then speak like this? The dude who makes mistakes so frequently of the unforced variety, not quite Charles Leclerc levels of frequency, but similar. Can you be that dude who yeets it into the gearbox of bloody Fernando Alonso because you're not paying attention to the skullduggery that dude is doing? No, nor the while that is Fernando Alonso in front of you and you're looking at your bloody steering wheel, tinkering with your brake bus. Can you do all of the aforementioned?
Some would say you brake tested him and knew what he was doing.
Well, but then, so you know Fernando Alonso and you know what time it is. You know when you're going into whatever turn it was in Australia, if Fernando Alonso is in front of you, then what you don't
I'm going to summarize what I think your point is and where you're going. Can you make mistakes and still talk to the big dog on track? And I'm going to go back.
Let me rewind ever so slightly a second there, Jay, because I'm gonna tweak your wording.
Okay, go on.
Can you make those mistakes and then speak with such fervor and vitriol about four-time champion Max Verstappen and not be labelled a hypocrite? Because this will be the criticism of many Max Verstappen fans all around the world that are saying, cry more, George. How about you go and win some races or championships maybe one day? Cool. Yeah, but is George Russell therefore, as a result, as a function even of not necessarily what he said, but the way he said it and the timing, is he a hypocrite for saying this now, Justin?
Okay. Again, timing, he's responding. Is he a hypocrite? No, because he's not doing anything that no one else doesn't do. And that's what he said. Then to take it personal, as Max has, I feel like you've lost sight of the whole thing. This is kicked off because Max took it there, not George. He's responding to an attack. Also, George's form of late, as you painfully reminded me the last time I got on your platform, has been good. We saw him do lights to flag winish in Vegas. So actually, he's outqualified Lewis. He hasn't made the same mistakes. He's been able to wrangle the car better. So, and these are all your words to me in the last podcast, by the way, not mine. So George has the right to A, puff up his chest, and B, say, I'm looking forward to next year with some confidence given around a form of late. But I'm going to put it to you, Cam.
Go.
What do you do when a bully comes banging on your door? Even if you are Lance Stroll.
No. Lance Stroll.
What do you do?
No. If
you get bullied, you have to respond. You cannot. You would have crucified George if he let this one slide. You'd have been like,
no. Okay, so here's where I wouldn't have crucified George if he'd kept silent. If he'd pled the fifth and then come back to Abu Dhabi and dropped it on pole and done a lights to flag victory, then you have to do one of these, right? Doff your caftan, because that's the response that I'm looking for George. All of this talk is real.
That stoicism is great, but it's not the world we live in anymore.
Justin, all of this talk is absolutely fantastic in theory. If it doesn't feed through to practice, if we're having this conversation next year, Justin, and that Mercedes car's been good, but George is nowhere in the championship because he doesn't have pace for Max and he can't drive in the wet and he can't do a lights to flag victory like Max and the execution is poor and his racecraft isn't where
it's crazy. He has crap races. Are you going to say he should never have stood up to Max?
There is the problem. I'm saying if he nails it, I'm saying if he sticks the landing, Justin, as far as the performance commensurate for those words, perfect 10 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? Like standing ovation. If he doesn't stick it though, Justin, this isn't. Look, all I care, Justin, here about is performance chat. That's why for me
you like the talk too.
I do like Simon. You're a legend. Thank you for joining the channel. No, I do like the chat as well. I like it to be beefy because who doesn't? If it's Nas and Jay-Z, do you know what I mean? Like ether settings, then of course, who's not gonna love that? Like Drive to Survivation is a function of that.
Sorry, what is that? You keep saying that phrase. I've never heard it before.
I'm stealing. Like in SEMA, we studied this thing called the McDonaldization. It's where you standardize all your processes to be more efficient, right? And I've cut and chopped it. I'm parlaying the McDonaldization.
And what does it mean to you? What does
Drive to Survivation is where you've got all these new fans coming coming into the sport that are watching it.
God.
That
Can you stop moaning about the new fans? We love the new fans. We need the new fans.
I'm not moaning about the new fans, but I'm calling a spade and
Which
saying
is
saying it what it is. Drive to Survivation is a thing in Formula One, and people there are 40% of people currently watching Formula One have come in through Netflix, chap. So
which is amazing.
No, it's good, bruv. It's good. I forget my point now because you've got.
Sorry. Okay, you were talking about basically, long story short, you're like, at the end of the day, if he doesn't back this talk with performance on track, he shouldn't have said it in the first place, which is a logic I cannot get behind, because that is talking about future. If you're coming to bully me right now, I'm going to stand up for myself right now, which is what George has done. Also, you've basically summarized an 11-minute rant into the end piece where he's like, I can't wait for next year. And you're like, oh, you better be able to back what you talk next year. About 7 minutes of that chat was what happened last week and what he's been, and him recalling what's been going on and why he's where he is now. I can sit here, Cam, if you were to stab me in my back, having known you for 2 decades, I am fully within my rights to be like, you know what? He did this, he did this, he did this. If I then go and race you on the track, or we have some confrontation and I lose, I'm not in the wrong for standing up to you for what you did in the past. I still have a right to be like, no, you still did those things and you're still wrong for doing those things. I don't understand.
But it's okay, fair. I'll take that point. I'll concede to you on that account. But when George says something like this, I said I'm not going to stand for it. And I'm not going to accept it. So it's about time somebody puts him in his place. And I hope next season that we all have race cars like we've had towards the end of the season. And then he goes on, doesn't he? He gets he starts talking about, well, anybody can do it. Similar to Lando again. Anybody can do it in a good car. But then when it was No, he did say that, Justin. He said, since Miami, I've won races. Lando's won races.
He said he's just won as many races as everybody else. Yeah,
is he mad? Is he off his rocker? How very Justin, this is why we need to get specific, and this is why we take notes. How very dare he talk like that? You can't even... George Russell, go on, let me take you for a second. Scorched that. George Russell name as at
Don't
now...
scorched
as at December 2024. George Russell's name, Justin, can't even mention in the same... If we're talking sporting endeavour, irrespective of who's right and wrong in this argument, yeah, you can argue it both ways. And I think George makes some good points. But look, you can't even mention, on the basis of the evidence, that if past his prologue, on the basis of the most recent evidence, Singapore is
George a talented driver as Max? No one's saying
George can't even go in the sentence. George can't even look
no one's
on the
saying
Mount Rushmore.
That, Cam.
No. But George is saying that because he's saying that he's going to stand up to this guy and watch next season. If you're talking that sort of stuff, Justin, you better make sure when 2025 comes, exactly, that was the book. So when 2025 rolls on now, Justin, if George Russell is going to be in some serious stick, right? If he's not, if he yeets it into the barrier again in Singapore when he's got a victory in his hands, do you know what I mean? If he's moaning about Kimi Antonelli causing him problems and all this stuff, like
Cam,
he's going to have a problem.
I fear you're going to be insufferable if he wins in Bahrain and Australia. You're going to be like, the Red Bull car's still bedding in. Like, it can go both ways. Yeah, you're going to be like, no, he needs to do a Brazil. Then the way you're going to escalate his need to be able to talk.
Let me ask you.
You're going to do it.
No, let me ask you a proper question. Yeah.
They've all been proper questions, but
I know, dude. No, they've not been bad. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. Let me ask you a proper question. George said that Max said that he's going to put him on his effing head,
which is wild.
Talk to me about that, Justin. Talk to me about that.
So here's the thing. That's George recounting that, and we don't. But if he did say that to him, that is overstepping the mark, and I'll be pissed too. Sorry, I swore on your channel. Sorry, I would be livid. I would be absolutely furious.
You on your head, chap.
What are you talking about? What are we talking?
What we're talking
because you got a one-place grid penalty.
No, what we're talking about is a dude who thinks that he's the best F1 driver alive.
Yeah, that's no excuse.
And if you step, this is gladiators now, right? Chariots of fire settings. If you step into my arena or cheese me off, rightfully or wrongfully, Justin.
Your arena? Whose arena?
No, but I'm talking from Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Max Verstappen. Okay,
I've been reading the book, chat. Read the book Unstoppable, and in there, Mark Hughes talks about like the key difference between Max and the others is that this is like to be 4-time champion. He expects this chap. You hear sometimes he crosses the line and he's almost like driving Miss Daisy. It's like this is the standard for him. He's always won. He doesn't expect anything. So when something happens, he's got to explain that away, right? This is
there's a way of it. There's a good word in English for that. Entitlement.
Oh, how very. Entitled. Some call it entitlement, Justin. And if I'm playing devil's advocate, some call it metronomic greatness. This is preternatural now.
Preternatural. Are we making it weird?
No.
So Max feels entitled to everything going his way. It's basically kind of what George was saying, actually. It's kind of funny you talk about that, right? Because that's kind of what George was saying in that rant. Is like, if it doesn't go his way, he flips out at everybody. It's everyone else's fault except his. Because he feels he's entitled to a certain way of being treated. And you're kind of buying into that, Cam, because you're like, well, no, he's a full-time world champion, so he can swear at the stewards.
I'm saying, go on, but mate, you don't want to bring up the swearing thing. I'm saying, I'm not justifying it, but I'm giving you the why behind that, Justin.
Because he feels entitlement.
Because he feels like he's the best in the world, and if I don't win, something happened outside my control. That's his perspective. Right? I'm not saying that's true necessarily, but that's his perspective. So you're saying it's entitlement. I'm looking at it through a different lens. And Max Verstappen turns up to every race weekend saying, if I don't win, something happened. Some kind of variance outside.
Outside of him.
100%. It's the car. It's Adrian. It's Pierre Vacher not doing what. It's something, because in his mind, every time it's like level playing for Brazil, bro.
Come on, Breda.
They weren't even on his. But you see what I'm saying, though, Justin. You understand what I'm trying to get to here. If I think I do. Look, if I rock up to Brazil, and dominate that race the way that Max did, how can I not think that, Justin? If I don't win, thereafter,
that's fine.
Bang. So that's.
But then someone's going to come along and be like, "Well, who are you talking to?" It's as simple as that. So someone's going to get off the train at New Street and be like, "Sorry, what did you say? Who are you talking to?" Like, it's as simple. You can't threaten violence. What are we on about? What are you on for a one-place good penalty? Anyway, I feel like we're letting the FIA off. I swear, MBS must be rubbing his hands like it's absolute Christmas. Because until this kicked off, there was a whole heap of WTF. That it's not even MBS, and the race director doesn't actually steward the race. You have stewards that decide the penalties. But Jesus, what happened last week in Qatar?
Mate,
what happened? I was livid. I don't think I've been that angry at stewarding in F1, and that's saying a lot because I watched Abu Dhabi 2021 live. But do you know what I wanted to ask you, Cam?
Go on.
With your encyclopedic knowledge of F1.
Behave.
So we had Abu Dhabi 2021. There was a root and branch change. Massey got sacked, and I think, did other people go with him? You'll know, I don't know. But then there was the plans to have rotating race directors. They then sacked that and just had one permanent one, and then we've had change recently. But can I ask you a question? On balance, do you think stewarding in general has improved since 2021?
Are you having a laugh, chat? Well, it hasn't got better. That's for damn sure. But then, what's the benchmark, Justin?
It's better than 2021 because that's what kicked up the massive furore.
I don't think there's. I think to broaden out your question and dance around it ever so slightly, I think they haven't learned. It was a learning opportunity, wasn't it, Abu Dhabi 21, and they haven't learned. In fact, I'd probably argue that they've regressed as far as their infrastructure. All they need to do, right, is this, because this is the remit and the scope of the FIA. Give the stewards, the decision makers, the key decision makers, the requisite infrastructure to make their life easy. That's all that you need to do, right? Give them, like, hire professionals, full-time ones. Don't give them 300 quid a day and jet in Johnny Herbert for one race, and the next race it's Derek Wyke, and the next race it's Blunder. Like, what do we do? This is nonsense, Justin. Of course you're going to get different decisions race on race weekend, because you've got different stewards there who think differently and have different opinions. Do you know what I mean? Some are strict, some are like, it's nonsense. And then Rue Marquez comes in there and he's stewarding. Charlie Whiting couldn't even race direct F2 and F1. Said that there wasn't bandwidth enough. He didn't have time or energy. And you're going to put this new one in there, Rue Marquez, succeeding Niels Wittich, and he's going to be overseeing F1 and F2 the very first time he's race directing Formula One. What do we do? Honestly, Justin, it makes no sense.
It's
I'm throwing up in my
insane.
mouth, chap. Like, I'm allergic to this level of incompetence. It's nonsense, chap. And then if you want to talk MBS and we're going scorched earth again, then the fish stinks from the head down, chap. And if you heard the latest 1.35 million presidential fund that is going to point at all these voters so he can get in again December next year, that's your first thing. And then the second thing, he's got an audit committee and he's sacked 2 of the 4 people on the audit
sacked
committee.
2 or 4? Yeah, half of them, yeah.
Like, well, you're marking your own homework there on in.
Yeah.
Like
it's as I said, it's set blatter settings. It's set blatter settings.
It's giving Sep, isn't it?
My man's just got went to FIFA and said, "What did you guys do?" I like the look of that, and then just swipe the entire rule book, playbook. Sorry, so Qatar was embarrassing, and it got to a head for me with the wing mirror incident. I was like, "What are you doing?" Like down the main straight.
Yeah, cool.
Bring out the safety car. What do you mean you care about affecting? No, safety is your priority. That's why you're stewarding. You have a rule book. You know what to do. You know when you're supposed to do it. And this is the funny thing is it continues on from Las Vegas with, again, safety. There's a reason why you can't pit then on-pit. Safety issues. But because nobody was affected, then they're like, oh, no, it's okay. That's not how it works when you come to safety. You have this concept of near misses and you have the actual effect, you have the root cause analysis and you make sure it doesn't happen again and you enforce the rules to make sure it does. The wing mirror is chilling. Bottas drives over it. We get a safety car in the way. Idiot. Sorry.
Legendary. No. I think at this point, Justin, it's the onus is on us as fans, isn't it? Sure, I can't be so naive to expect Santa Claus to come down the chimney this Christmas and deliver my Christmas presents. In fact, it would be more reasonable of me to expect that than to expect change and improvement at the FIA when we can see all that's going on there, Justin. I'm out. I'm divested out of FIA PLC, never to come back again. I don't expect anything of them, Justin.
That's the problem, because they're going to be screwing with your spectacle.
I'm done.
Because that's what they think they're supposed to do.
Whatever, Justin. I'm done. I can't be in this abusive relationship, Justin. It's too toxic, chap. It is AB, and I'm not prepared. I just, whatever. Go for it, Mama. You want to sack all your people. You want to appoint all these brilliant minds to the regulatory body, and then when they question you,
when they do their job,
Bill Belichick, you're going to sack them. No. You know what, MBS, go for it, chap. And then you're going to run unopposed, right? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and then you're going to go some more. Go for it, chap. I'm all right with it, mate. Like, whatever. I'm settled.
It's wild, because the whole reason we're talking about this, the George and Max thing, is because, first of all, that shouldn't have been an infringement in any shape or form. No one was on a hot lap. He was in the middle. He moved out of the way. George was like, oh, these are the rules. I'm going to take advantage of the rules. But really and truly, the one place penalty, you admitted in your ruling that this wasn't really an infringement, but we're going to give you a penalty anyway. Now, hearing George's rant, I'm thinking they were just vexed at Max because Max was ranting away and being rude to them. So they're like, we're going to do something.
But it wouldn't be the first time, Justin. And this is the problem. This is why Max Verstappen's around the world are doing one of these. We told you, British bias. How are you going to give Charlotte?
Whoa. Right, that's where it got techie. Sorry to use your phrase.
Go for it.
To allied, I don't know what the word is, that the FIA steward, or what's the word? They basically go easier on British drivers. This is taking the British bias thing to very, very dangerous conspiratorial heights now.
Go on, let's talk about it. But you can forgive. Here's where it's right. So look, correlation and
because we have a very, very big example where the stewarding didn't go a British driver's way. So
okay, fine. No, but this is the problem, Justin. So look. Correlation and causality don't run as synonyms all the time, right? They're not the same thing. So as an example, look at all the people, all the Lewis fans around the world, one of which is Mama Cameron, who were crying all sorts of sabotage because Lewis isn't performing. Well, it could be. But can you say beyond reasonable doubts that Mercedes are being sabotaged because Lewis is underperforming? Well, how about we look at where the mistakes are coming? Are they are they happening only in quite like there is a broader? You've got to double click on that causality pie, right? Like it's techie, and so I only say that to say this, chap. You can't. Sometimes it looks like, I'm not saying it is British bias necessarily from the stewards, but look, when Max gets a penalty and has to do community service for dropping an F-bomb, Charles Leclerc does the exact same thing, drops an F-bomb, but because he was immediately remorseful, doesn't get the community service, gets a punitive financial, like five grand or whatever it was. Hang on, like what's the?
It sounds like it's personal to Max. It doesn't sound like a British bias one way. It sounds like the stewards don't like Max because Max runs up in there calling them all types of names. But if people are going to get on the conspiracy ladder and start saying FIA has a British bias, I'm going to, I won't say anything. I will sign
the British bias is techie, but you understand it, Justin, because like
no, they don't like Max. I will happily say,
but that's not even
coming
true.
across like the stewards don't like Max.
But this isn't even true because Max after
your example you just showed me and what we've just heard this weekend with the one place grid penalty that was not necessary. Like,
but then Max is on the blower. Max is on the blower to Mohammed bin Salman. But he said at least that he was on the phone to Mohammed bin Salman and they talked with some free. Justin,
what?
I don't know.
What have you heard? Sorry, no, go on.
Here, Max said it himself. Mate, came out.
What did he say?
Mouth, said that Mohammed bin Salman phones me from time to time when we talk about some of the topics and issues that are pertinent to F1.
You what, mate?
100%.
Why? You're meant to, why?
And then the joke is
the NBA commissioner on the phone to LeBron.
Listen to me.
What's going on?
Listen to me. And then the joke is Mohammed bin Salman wants to. What did he say when George and the GPDA put out the Instagram saying we just want to be treated like adults and get involved in the running of the FIA and be transparent, let us know about the decisions. Then Mohammed bin Salman says, I'm an ex-driver. Those like need to...
Ex-driver of what?
He used to be
articulated lorries.
No.
What was he driving? The carts.
No, he was a quick driver.
The golf carts.
No, I won't disrespect him for that. I love to disrespect and disparage Mohammed bin Salman, but not for that. He's a quick racing driver, rallying. He used to do whatever, Dakar rally or whatever. But he said that those lot need to mind their business. Basically, I run the FIA, and they don't have anything to do with that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. This is the head.
Wild. This is just wild. This is just toxic. The toxicity is at an all-time high.
I can't.
Where's Captain Planet?
Yeah, no, it's done. It's done. We're finished. This is bonkers. Man. I'm done with it. I'm just reading the George thing still. This final one on the George statement. And I wish that I'd had more time to diatribe through it and double click on it before we went live, but this last piece, chaos.
Go on.
So, of course, it's easy to get your way when you have the fastest car. If the season starts in Austria, he's won the same number of races as Lando, as myself, as Lewis, and as Charles.
My man rehearsed that in the mirror before you got in front of a mic.
To that, Justin P, you respond how?
You basket. He's not calling out for Max's talents. What he's saying is, obviously, if you're the golden boy, then you're going to have things naturally, and because of as a product of your hard work and talent, fall in your way. It speaks to that entitlement thing. I think this is what I'm saying. You've asked me the question. This is what I think. It speaks to that entitlement. He smashed it, so he expects everything to keep going his way. And I think that was a point on from his adversity point. So he expects everything to keep going his way. And in the moment he hits something that doesn't go his way, again, it's everyone else's fault. I'm entitled to have things go my way. I have an expectation things will go my way. When they don't, I'm off my game and then I just lash out. That's what I think he's speaking to. And he thinks he's bringing facts to back his argument. Now, in the eyes of someone such as yourself, who respects on-track performance, I can see how it'd be interpreted as blasphemy. But I still understand what his point is and the point that he's trying to make there. So he's fully within his rights. You know what? I just go back to brass tacks. You have to stand up to bullies, and Max went and found the mic first. So it's what it is.
Listen to me. Let me read out Matthew Brown's thing before I go scorched earth. As we
on who?
Watch this. I've got something in my chamber for you and George. Matthew Brown, too kind as always. I'm a huge Max fan, and I agree. Threatening to put him in the wall may have been over the line, but scare tactic did work. As soon as Max came alongside him, George chickened that. You see that there? What Matthew Brown's done. This is.
So what's he saying? What, physically, or what was he talking about?
No. So he said he's going to put him into the wall, but he said he's weaponizing fit. This has been Max's.
That's what bullies do. We now have the psychological terms to do it, but bullies weaponize fear.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But why wouldn't you? Justin P.
Why would you not be a bully? Because
No. I'm not even talking about how you can say however you want to categorize this. But look, I'm looking for every millisecond of lap time, right?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the sports mentality.
If I feel like saying that to George Russell might make him think twice about challenging me into turn one. If I'm invested in winning races and therefore championships, Justin, why would I not bloody say it? And again, this leads
obviously,
into
if it's a zero, okay, not even zero sum, because obviously games are zero sum. The point is,
why would I not say it, Jack?
certain champions have an integrity about how they win, and certain people are win at all costs. I will sabotage you if I need to in the most skullduggerous ways. Certain people will do everything. What you're talking about is like, if this was off track, if they like, should we take it simple? Why wouldn't you slash his tires if you could get away with it? That's basically the kind of argument you're making.
No.
Oh, now there's limits. It's win at all costs, Cam.
No, this is a problem. This is a difference now, Justin, what you're alluding to. In extents and not kinds. That's too far. You're absolutely 100%.
How are you judging what's too far? He threatened violence.
No, he didn't.
That's too far for me. For you, it's okay. Because you just said, why wouldn't he?
He said, this is why, people don't get... This why, Justin, people need to go back and watch 1989 and 1990 and see what Senna was up to. Senna all now... If he was up, in fact, I'm not even going to bust that joke. That dude kept his foot in the throttle, in the wall still. So committed was he to taking out Alain Prost. This is the type. This is F1.
And do you respect that? Do you personally? Every fan has a right to be like, I respect or I don't. They're like, that's what it is. And you're saying you respect it, which is fine. And I'm saying
nobody's keeper.
George has a right to say that's too far for me as an individual.
He can say whatever he wants, Justin P. What he does here on in, that, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, is the question. We'll wait. George needs to back up these words. What he can go on big and pump out his chest and push his shoulders back and say all that he wants about Max Verstappen, 4-time champion, by the way. But let's see how he responds this race weekend, and let's hope that the boys and girls at Brackley and Brixworth can give him a car next year.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
And that
really.
he can show him. But talk is cheap, Justin. Ultimately, talk is cheap. Let's see. I know.
It's not. Talk is actually quite expensive, because I know I could say words to you that would make you get on a plane and come find me. That's a fact.
To be paid. But as far as Max Verstappen's concerned, again, to bookend this diatribe, Justin, as far as Max Verstappen's concerned, if past his prologue, the tax to be paid when you jibe him and start bantering him, Lando Norris is proof positive. You're going to start talking about... He started on
George.
No. If you're going to start...
just responding. When you say he's jibing... Lando, a whole other thing. Again, Lando's catching strays, and I'm sorry, Lando Norris doesn't deserve any strays on this one podcast. But he got gassed after one victory. Cool. You need to, settle yourself.
Correct.
But this time, Max went and found him up. Max went and called his integrity into question. Max said, I like everyone except this guy. So he's like, wait, you what? I'm going to respond. Like, I don't understand. So it's not, he does need to back up the last part where they get, if we were in relatively, basically what he's saying, equal machinery, I could outrace him kind of thing. We'll see. But for the fact that he responded, I'm never going to hold that against him.
All I have to say to you, I am of the parish that states this, Justin. Move in silence and only speak when it's time to say.
Yeah, not in 2024. That's not 2024. And Max don't move in silence.
Yeah, well, no, because he's...
But you like him anyway?
Because he's 4 moves away from checkmate all the time. Or at least he has been over the past 4 years.
You liked him before he was a world champion, and he never moved in silence then either. That wasn't a requirement of Max then.
Listen to me, Justin. I drink from the fountain of sporting excellence.
So don't.
I don't take any other water. That's all that I drink from, Justin. Whilst others can do their can be abbots of unreason and
stop.
Listen, all I've ever been interested in as far as F1 or any other sport, calling me a glory supporter. Yeah, it's easier, simple terms, nicely translated.
But you're not though. I've called you other things in the past, but you're not a glory.
I am a pseudo glory. If I see and smell brilliance. Floyd was the same for all of his...
No, but it has to be in a certain way for you.
If it's brilliant, I'm just like, I just bend the knee and I can't...
Yeah, I know you do. And then what happens is certain things get you in the room. Then what happens in the room you then bend the knee. You then basically change your standards accordingly. Once you've made that decision, you've picked your person. You then change your standards according to accommodate everything. And all humans do it. It's like the sports mentality anyway. It's sportsmanship.
The confirmation bias of which you speak, Justin. It's the entropy on this channel is far too extortionate. Because for the avoidance of doubt, as we round third base, what I will never ever do on this channel is sacrifice truth value and objectivity at the altar of partisanship, confirmation, or recency bias. I don't. We don't. No chance, Justin. But Justin, you've been a legend.
But you are human, and this has been a fantastic podcast.
No, Justin, it feels like 2014 all of a sudden. It does. Again, you telling me that Sebastian Vettel would beat Lewis Hamilton in equal
machine? Mate, at that time,
how did that work out for you, Justin?
Didn't work out well. But you still need to put some respect on his name. He's got 4 world championships.
This is true. Another conversation for another day. Justin, you'd be a legend. Listen, if you enjoy Justin's verbiage back and forth, he's infinitely knowledgeable on F1 things, but more knowledgeable on crypto and blockchain more pertinently. Go and check out the Not Your Crypto podcast, available on all good podcasting platforms, and of course on the YouTubes. Guys and girls, I'll be back later diatribing, double clicking on this circumstance, the chaos and the rancor and the beef, for want of a better term, because this is deeper than rap now, between one King George Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk, first of his name, and one Maximilian Verstappen, for some say soon to be 5-time champion. Between now and next time, as always, prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour. Let's go.
We done?
Yeah, it's good, man. They're coming for you.
That was